Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Wiley Drake Show, live from Southern California. And in case you're wondering, the extra noise we have here is because it's my turn to play Grandpa. Do we have a caller on the line?
The rocks are red hot. Don't touch them.
Who is this? Shorty? Hey, Shorty, how you doing, my friend?
Hey, sit down.
Well, that's good. I found out today that Kent Hovind is not in solitary. So we at least made a point and they got him out of solitary confinement. So thank you for all your efforts. Thank you for what you've been doing, and thank all the other folks for what they've been doing. And we thank the Lord for the opportunity we have to stand with the man. We sent today a fax to the judge, and if you'd like to get that fax number, you can get that fax number. You can get that fax number off of Facebook. If you go on my Facebook, you'll see there a little video that I did in reference to the Facebook as well as reference to the fax. So you can go there and get that fax number if you want to send a fax to her.
Leave the toys for the dogs.
I'm sorry? Yeah, that sends a fax directly to her desk. If you go on Facebook on Wiley Drake, you can download it or look at it or whatever you want to do. You can post on my Facebook anytime, but you can download it and copy it. And what I suggest is you get that fax number, and that fax number goes directly to her office. And so it doesn't go through the staff, it goes directly into her office. So if you want to send her a fax, they were recommending several scripture verses be attached to it. And the one that I sent her was Psalms 109, verses 1 through 10. And some of the others put others, but just whatever you'd like to put. Do we have another caller on the line? Is this Wendy Green?
This is Wendy Green.
Well, Wendy, thank you for joining us. We've got Shorty on the line with us. We were just talking about our dear friend Kent Hovind, and we're very pleased to announce to everybody that he is out of solitary confinement now. And so he is back in a regular cell, which is a lot cleaner and a little bit more comfortable, as much as you can be comfortable in prison. But we're having some noise in the background here because we had set this up, and I forgot that this night is our family night, and so I'm playing Grandpa, and I'm over at my son's house. Our family is very family oriented. You might wonder why I'm so concerned over children and why we're so concerned over CPS and all that kind of things. It's because I have 10 grandchildren and 1 great-grandchild. This is one of my grandboys right here. You'll be able to see him on the camera later if you look at the archive. And his name is Caleb, but him and the dogs are having a ball. And so if it gets too noisy and you guys you can just, let me know, and I'll hang up and let you continue. But until that time, Wendy, tell our listening audience, if you will, where you're from and a little bit of your history in reference to why you're involved in this, trying to protect the families and trying to get the kids back to the families. Tell us a little bit about your case.
Sure, of course. I'm from Irvine, California. My case is actually out in Riverside County, California, where my family and I lived for about 10 years in San Jacinto.
Yeah.
And that's where what I call my D-Day happened, November 28th of 2012. My children were taken out of their schools without our knowledge or consent and driven down to the San Jacinto Police Department and questioned and examined without our knowledge or consent. And they proceeded to go to our home, and upon my ex-husband answered the door. They cuffed him and put him in the back of the police car without charging him with anything, and then proceeded to go into my master bedroom where I was taking a nap with my 2-year-old son at the time. And the investigator ripped me out of bed by my arm so violently that he tore my rotator cuff and left a black bruise around my upper arm in the shape of his grasp that was there for about 6 weeks. And then they proceeded to tell me they were not in uniform. They were in clean clothes. They did not announce themselves. They scared me to death. I thought they were intruders trying to kill me, and that they were going to kill me. And then I realized that they were, in fact, from law enforcement. And they were accusing me of giving my oldest son a black eye, which is not true at all. My oldest son, I have to say, is autistic, and he has violent tendencies towards his little brothers, which my ex-husband and I were always keeping them apart and, always refereeing them. And a couple days prior to that, my middle son had punched my older son in self-defense and left a slight bruise underneath his right eye, and scared my 8-year-old at the time, he's now 10, that if he's the one that and he'd be going to jail, they scared my 8-year-old. To dehumanize us and criminalize us and lasted for about 5.5 hours at the police station.
Goodbye. That was like slow motion.
It
wasn't the thing you were going to do.
And they were holding my children over my head, saying that if I did not stop them, they would take my children and arrest me. Even though it was talking them out of fear,
There wasn't
they still arrested me, and they couldn't even took my children into custody and sent my ex-husband home to an empty house. And my family and I have been fighting for the children ever since. We have spent a part of 2 houses were lost and the bankruptcy cars trying to get the children home. And at this point, my parents are trying to get the children into their home, and that it's being consistently ignored by our social worker, and also my nephew and his wife. They've been trying, they're up in Washington, they've been trying to get the boys with them, and that also is being ignored. And the reason being is so obvious, because foster parents will give them the Title 5 and 4 funding through the federal bonus program, but if they put the children with family, they also get that money. Now, the most recent development in my case is that I got papers in the mail trying to sue me for child support.
Oh my goodness.
Riverside County. And so basically I called my social worker and told him, you've got to be kidding me. These children are being held against their will, against our will, against the entire family's will. You're wrong. Please practice the moral courage here. And, basically, shame on you for being so corrupt. And my family and I have been completely devastated by this. And so that has sparked my writing my up-and-coming book. I have entitled it Justice. My oldest son is named Justice. He's on the end of the double entendre. And also, it inspired me to start writing articles. I write articles for whiteoutpress.com. I've entitled them the Canary Stories, where I am writing each individual story of the different parents that have sent, and grandparents and godparents and that sort of thing, that have sent me emails begging me to tell their story, give them a voice. I believe that God has put me here to give a voice to the voiceless, to give help to the helpless, and to give some sort of defense to the defenseless, because when we are sitting in court, we are sitting ducks, and we're not allowed to speak up in our behalf, in our defense. And so, that being said, I'm trying to used my First Amendment right as to freedom of speech and freedom of the press
Yeah.
to get the defense out there and to take CPS down and the family law court down because they are completely and utterly corrupt.
Well, you're absolutely right. And ladies and gentlemen, as you know, we do 2 shows a day, 5 days a week. And hardly a day goes by, hardly a show goes by that we don't have people that want to come on with us to tell their story. And we cover other things as well. We've been covering Kent Hovind down in Florida. We cover all kinds of things, but the overwhelming injustice that's going on in this nation is the stealing and the trafficking of the children. And when you fight that system, it becomes very dangerous to do so. Many of you know that Nancy Schaefer and her dear husband Bruce were brutally murdered by Child Protective Services and the welfare system. They were the only ones that would have murdered them, the only ones that profited by their murder, so they're the ones that did it. And yet the FBI will not investigate it. They, quote, investigated it, but it was a bogus case. They really didn't investigate it at all. So we've been doing that, and coming up next month, there will be an anniversary, not a celebratory anniversary, but an anniversary for Nancy Schaefer's death. It'll be the 5th year since she passed away, since she was brutally murdered. They said killed by her husband, and then he committed suicide. Nothing could be farther from the truth. But the other tragedy of all of this is not only those drastic cases like Nancy Schaefer, but the other drastic cases like yours. Families, men and women, that were good families. Nobody is perfect, but were good families. Most of them were good families, and they got in trouble. Social services decided they were going to take the kids, and they take the kids, and they keep the kids because they continue to get the money. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, it runs about $4,000 per month for each child. That's normal circumstance, and all they have to do to make them a special needs child is for a social worker. Does not have to be psychiatric, does not have to be anything else. Just a social worker says that child has special needs. And now they get another $2,000 to $4,000 per month for that child. And so the secret behind this whole thing is it's the money. They're making big bucks, and the families are the losers in this because the families are losing their children. And what a tragedy. Here in Southern California, not too far from where Wendy lives, I'm in the city of Buena Park, we have a homeless shelter. We do a thing called church fare rather than welfare, and we take families in, men, women, boys, and girls. We take them in and give them a place to sleep, food to eat, clothes to wear, and a place to go to church, and we counsel with them. Now, a great number of those people, we might say, people say, well, I don't understand why in modern America with all the food we have and jobs we have, why are they homeless? Well, a great number of them are homeless because they've been through the same kind of scenario that Wendy has been through. So that's a great deal of the cause of homelessness is what's going on. And we just are simply saying what a tragedy this is. And Wendy, how old are your children? How many children do you have in the system? Wendy, are you there? Wendy, are you there? Okay, did I lose Wendy?
I've never gotten her.
Shorty, are you there?
No, they showed a picture of like in a 60 there.
Well, folks, I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, church. And like the one girl, she's almost.
One of the other things that's happened recently is that we have ended up getting hacked simply because we're rocking the boat. And right now it shows that our Congressional Prayer Conference line is up and Crusade Radio is up, but I'm not hearing anybody. Folks, are you there? Anybody on the line?
Huh?
Anybody on the line? All right. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. The camera's rolling. I'm going to leave that rolling, but I'm going to go off the air and come back on.
Mom was okay with finding some guy on the ship. Well, not, at first it was like, oh, she's not allowed to date. Yeah. Which I think is the dumbest thing.
Called telephonic prayer.
Because it's like, okay.
Calling telephonic prayer.
Katie is an example of how that parent.
Yeah.
Marcy is an example of that parenting.
Welcome. This service is provided.
I'm on the edge.
But that's one of the things.
You entered 399430. Is this correct? There are 2 participants in this conference. Please announce yourself. Understanding of sexual rights.
Yeah,
Dr. Wiley?
this is Wiley. I got bumped off for some reason. Here lately, since we've been stirring up so much trouble, Washington is putting their hackers out and bumping us off.
I see.
So
That's the feeling I got.
So that's exactly what's happening. We know what's happening. But we just keep coming back. We're not going to give up. And we're going to say, no, we're not going to give up. So
That's right.
you guys go right ahead. I interrupted by getting hacked off. But go right ahead and share whatever you...
Go ahead. Some information about how we've been duped, and that for a long time we've lost our position of what our rights are, our personal rights, and subject of civics always taught us that there, but they phased it out from 1850 to 1950.
Yeah.
And starting back off at the beginning of the history of this country, we had a king, and King George gave the colonies the charters, and so when they had the charters, that's how they operated with it. So the people got tired of the king's men arresting them and taxation and all that, and so they had the Tea Party, and the king didn't like that, and so he stepped up his harassment, and so the people put together a Declaration of Independence, and the king got really mad, and he canceled all their charters, and so what happened is that the people became sovereign. They didn't have a king, and so over a number of years, they entered into the first compact they had was called the Articles of Confederation.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 9 states out of 13 that entered into this, and so they tried that for 10 years. That was in 1878, and then in 1887, when they found out that the Articles of Confederation was not working, they kept the U.S. Constitution, and in the beginning it says "We the people," and then what did they do? They ordained and established a Constitution, and the word "ordained and established" doesn't have anything to do with giving up your rights, and that people were still sovereign. And so the government just kept growing and growing and growing, and as it got bigger, it didn't know what to do with the people, and so back during the Civil War, the blacks didn't have any rights, and so they entered into this instrument called the 14th Amendment. And the 14th Amendment, we understood then that there was a definition for the word citizen. And before, the word citizen was just a vague word that was tossed around here and there, and it didn't really have any definition. But if you read the 14th Amendment, it says, all those that are born in or naturalized and is subject to the jurisdiction are citizens in the state where they live. And if you're not subject to the jurisdiction, then what are you?
Yeah.
You're one of the people. And people have sovereign rights. And so
why would anyone consider themselves a 14th Amendment statutory citizen and give up their rights? It's almost ludicrous that we don't talk about this and get a full understanding of this, because everyone's looking on the same piece and have the same capability of defending themselves in the court, because if you're a citizen, what do you got? It's,
Yeah.
what you call it, their civil rights.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Shorty, you're absolutely right. And what we need to do, that's one of the reasons why I believe our meeting, your meeting, me, and me meeting you, and us meeting with Wendy, we need to put something together. We need to get organized better so we can make these fights more effective in what we're doing. And that's why I'm very glad to have Wendy come on board.
The material is available, but the thing of it is trying to get it to the people.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
You probably got 3 emails a day with stuff there, and that you can pass that stuff around. But there's a number of things we can do. The first thing we need to do is understand what our rights are.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you know, and the way to do that, there's a page out there called Amplifying Justice. And it's at Facebook, and it has the Bill Thornton teachings from the nitty-gritty law library.
And it's called what's the name of it again, Shorty, so we can get it down?
It's called Amplifying Justice.
Okay. All right. Very good.
At Facebook. And it is, most of his videos are up there in order so that people, when they get there, they watch the first video and then the second video, and then they're intrigued, and they're like, wow, you think I got it right?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what we need to do. We need to reclaim our rights. And Wendy, do you have anybody else on the line with us now?
Not that I know of. I had scheduled for a couple of different parents to be on today. They haven't called in as of yet. I told them to call in anytime after 5 o'clock. So
Okay. Well, in all honesty, I'm not surprised. Quite often, when social services find out that we, i.e. the show and you and Shorty and others, are doing things that are telling people about their rights and what they have a right to do, they begin to react. We've had reaction by the system, if you will, all the way from one extreme where a lady came into my studio there in Buena Park and sat on the set with me and told her story, and as soon as we got through with the show, they arrested her outside of my church. And they arrested her because of a restraining order that they had, and it didn't even have her name on it. It was a phony one, but they used it anyway, and they said she had been told by the judge not to talk to the media. They don't want them to talk to me. They don't. And
that violates the First Amendment.
Of course it does.
They call it a gag order.
Yeah, and those.
They call it a gag order.
Yeah, and they're.
Yeah, that's what's going around right now is the gag order.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely ridiculous because this freedom of speech has become a crime. And like you were saying, Shorty, is that the Constitution was written to protect us against the government, against tyranny.
Well, you're absolutely right. That's why we've got to continue to fight. That's why we've got to continue to, I've been to jail several times because I was asked by a family to go to court with them, and the judge wouldn't allow me to speak. And when I tried to speak, he told me I'd either leave or he'd arrest me. And so I've been arrested several times, and I'm not saying that to get everybody's attention. I'm just saying that's the extreme that they're willing to go to. They're willing to arrest people, preachers, wives, husbands. They're willing to arrest them simply because they're trying to claim their parental rights. We had a grandmother. I had a grandmother here several years ago, and she went through everything she could. The problem that occurred is that her daughter had been killed in a car wreck, and the son was very irresponsible. And he said, I don't want these kids. Grandma, you take them. And so Grandma took the kids. Social services stepped in and said she's too old. She wasn't that old. She was taking very good care of the kids, but they wanted those kids in the system because they got money for those kids. And she went through everything. She literally put her house up and got a loan and hired a high-priced attorney. The high-priced attorney used all of her money up, and finally she just did everything she could, and they still were taking those boys away from her. And finally, she came to me and she said, Pastor Drake, these are my grandsons, and I will not let the state have them. And that lady got in her car and took a ride to the airport and got airline tickets and literally left the United States. And she is out of the country. She and her two grandsons are living in another country. And that's all because our government wanted the money they were getting for those children. And she did everything she could to do it legally. She did everything she could to do it financially. And it wasn't like she was a bad grandmother or a bad mother, but they just wanted those kids to stay in the system so they would get the money. And so that lady now is living outside the United States in another country. And every once in a while, I'll have somebody trying to ask me if I will relate the story and who she is and where she is. And of course I won't. I've been threatened with arrest. I've been threatened with a lot of things. And I pray for that lady and her grandsons all the time. But I do not try to talk to them on the phone. They do not try to call me. Because as soon as they would call me, as soon as they would find them, they drag them back to this country, leave her there and drag those boys back and put them back in the system.
Right.
So,
Pastor Wiley, I've been speaking a lot with Joseph Jordan, and he sent me an email today that was very disconcerting, implicating two very high people in Capitol Hill being involved in this. It did bring me to my knees, and I prayed and prayed and prayed for our children in this country.
yes.
You know, I wanted to share a couple of quotes. One is from Albert Camus. I might be butchering that, Camus. He says, the only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion.
Yeah.
And then another one, I love Will Rogers.
Yes.
Tom Clancy. Tom Clancy on September 2nd of '03 says, what the government is good at is collecting taxes, taking away your freedoms, and killing people. It's not good at much else.
Well, that's exactly what the government's doing. I was just sharing a little while ago with my son, who's an adult, of course, and married, but I got a letter today. Many years ago, I've been pastoring the church where I pastor for over 25 years. And many years ago, our denomination suggested that the local churches help pastors a little bit because they know that pastors don't make much money. And so they suggested, our annuity board suggested that they set up accounts where the church would send a small amount each month into the account, and the pastor's family himself could send a small amount. Typically in some of these it'd be, maybe $50 from the church, $50 from the pastor, and that $100 would go into that account and create what's called an annuity, a little nest egg, so that when the pastor retired, he'd have that income. Well, my church was very faithful to do that, and it's not a lot of money, but it's a little nest egg that I have, and I'm still very active. Even though I'm 71, I'm still pastoring. I got a letter in the mail stating that there is a mandatory distribution law now, and if I don't take some of that money out, now that I've turned past 70 and a half, I have to take a certain amount out, and the government determines how much. And but the church furnishes me a house, and I don't need that money, but they're forcing me to take it out, because the reason they want me to take that little amount out is because if I take it out, the way it's set up, I have to pay taxes on it. And so they're trying to force me to do that. And so you all pray for me. It's not just the kids that are being attacked by the government, it's us old folks as well. And we just need to continue to fight this tyrannical government that we have, that's headed up by this terrible, terrible man called Barack Hussein Obama. And we need to continue to fight, and we need to stay in there, hang in there, and do everything we can. And I want to say to Shorty, thank you, Shorty, for your leadership in the informational side, and Wendy's leadership, not only on the information side, and she's agreed to be correspondent for our show, but to be on the side of the children, because she's been there, done that. And I want to say thank you to her for that, and God bless you for it. And we're going to continue to fight, and please tell your friends to let us know, and please let them know to get in touch with Wendy. Wendy, would you like to give out your phone number again to our listening audience?
Of course, yes, Pastor Wiley. If you want to contact me, you can reach me at area code 949-205-8189. Again, the number is 949-205-8189. You can call me anytime if you want to share your story with me. I write the stories and have them published, and I also would love to coordinate you to come onto the show and tell your story that way as well. My goal here is to give the voiceless a voice. That's what my gospel tells me to do, and that's what I was born for.
Well, I sort of coined a phrase many years ago. I said, first of all, I'm not an attorney, don't profess to be, don't understand a lot of the law, but I do understand what's happening, and what's happening is terrible to the families. And so I said, we can't, and I've seen hundreds and hundreds of people spend their life savings trying to save their kids, and if that would work, that would be okay. It'd be one thing if they mortgage their home and borrow $50,000, $100,000, and the attorneys could get their kids back. But in all these cases, they spend $50,000 to $100,000 on an attorney, and the attorney has to walk away and say, I'm sorry, I couldn't help. And so they not only lost their money, but they didn't get their children back. And so I said, we need something that we can do. We can't take it to a court of law, but we can take it to the court of public opinion. And so that's what this show is about. That's what Shorty is about. That's what Wendy's about. And that's what we want to be about. We have our studio there in Buena Park. And if you'll contact Wendy, she'll set you up to come into the studio if you'd like and be on camera. Some people don't like that, and that's okay. I understand. They just want to be on audio. And you can call in like Wendy and Shorty are doing today. So please contact Wendy, and please let us help you. Take your case, whatever it is, to the court of public opinion. And I believe the public is beginning to wake up, and I believe the people are beginning to demand right law and righteous law for our land. Anything else either of you would like to share? Go ahead.
There is a difference between an unjust law and a just law.
That's right.
A just law is what follows within Scripture, which promotes human personality. An unjust law is a man-made code that degrades human personality.
Yeah.
And one byproduct of individualism is what's called benevolence, the general attitude of goodwill towards one's neighbors and fellow human beings. Benevolence is impossible in a society where people violate each other's rights.
Yeah. Well, you're absolutely right, and I want to say this to both of you. Thank you so much for being on with me. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go off a little early tonight because I do need to spend some time with my family and so forth. And you all are welcome to stay on as long as you'd like and talk, but I think what we'll do is go ahead and just terminate, and we'll set up some other programs. Let me remind you, we do a program at 9 o'clock every morning and at 5 o'clock p.m. Now tomorrow, y'all pray for us, because tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, before I do my show, the city of Buena Park is coming out to inspect us. Since we've stirred up some trouble and since we've caused some problems, they're going to come out and inspect us to make sure we are fitting in all the codes. They've already sent the fire department out, and the fire department came out and checked, and everything was fine. So we would ask for your prayers tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock. The city of Buena Park is coming out, and they're doing it just simply because we're stirring up trouble for them in the social services department and all of those things. And so they're trying to come after us to make us look bad. They tried it back in 1997. They've done it now with Kent Hovind down in Florida. And so we covet your prayers and ask you to continue fighting the fight.
Yes, you can count on our prayers, Pastor Wiley, and it is really quickly. The more they go against us like this, it just shows everybody that we are telling the truth and they are not. It just shows who they are. Their actions are just seeming of who they are, which is absolute corruption.
Yeah.
So they're just digging their own holes. Let them keep digging, because it's not a matter of if we're going to win. It's when we're going to win.
That's exactly right, and thank you so much for reminding us all of that. Sometimes it can get very frustrating, but we do win, folks. We've read the last chapter of the Bible, the last chapter of the book, and that book says in the last chapter we win, and we will win. We have to keep on fighting, though, and I thank you, Wendy, and thank you, Shorty, for helping us do the fight and doing the work that we're getting done. And we'll let you know tomorrow. Now, we'll be back on tomorrow at 9, and we'll give you a report on our inspection tomorrow. And we'll be on the air tomorrow at 9 o'clock, so be sure and listen in and let us know that you're praying for us. We appreciate that. God bless you. Tell you what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and call it quits for the night and say, Wendy, thank you so much. Shorty, thank you. God bless you guys, and have a great, great evening.
Enjoy your family, Pastor Wiley.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.